And this week we're doing a bit of a what if, and we're going to be talking about what if the world knew about Gohan defeating Cell. So no one would expect it to be Mr. Satan, and yeah, Gohan
What
would
if the,
now be a celebrity.
what if the camera kept rolling,
Yeah,
eh?
pretty much, yeah. So what do you think about this?
um, to be honest, I think the biggest thing is we would have no pan, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Sun family line would probably would end it so far. I
GT
think,
is saved.
yeah, because well, Mr. Satan would probably be disgraced if he try and claim it.
Mhm.
I don't think Gohan would have ended up going to school because he'd be a worldwide celebrity. There's no way he could easily just go to school.
Yeah.
So he probably wouldn't meet Videl
Mhm.
because Videl wouldn't be this super celebrity kid like she is. There would be no reason for them to meet. Therefore, they wouldn't meet. Therefore, they wouldn't get married. Therefore, there would be no Pan. And therefore, the Sun family line wouldn't continue in the form of Pan. Therefore,
Yeah.
things would be very, very different in that regard. So basically, the super film as we know it, superhero film as we know what's coming up, wouldn't move forward as is. So
Mhm.
the story that we know is coming would completely have to change.
Mm.
The entire timeline would be totally skewed out of whiff through that alone, which is a huge change.
Yeah.
So it's not just the fact that the bad guys will be fought differently. I mean, how we're even going to approach the lineage would be totally different,
Mm.
which is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Goten issue still like that's going to happen regardless. But the fact of Gohan, that's a big difference.
Mm.
Just him meeting a girl, that is a big deal because no matter what happens, Pan is going to be a big deal. She's the next generation of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So love her or hate her, she's gonna matter
Mm.
eventually.
I mean, there's a chance that Gohan just finds maybe a female celebrity who, is similar to him in a way, or, something like that. And then they're just successful celebrities. Maybe he becomes a reality star, who knows? Keeping up with the Sun family.
Yeah. See, I'm still of the mindset. I still think that it might be Videl training Pan. I still think that might be the
in,
case.
in the new film, yeah,
Yeah, I still
probably.
think that might be the case. Like, I think it might be very much what Chi Chi did with Goten.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense to me that from what we've seen of Videl, she seems to be very much they've turned her into the stay-at-home mom.
Mm.
So it would make sense that if Pan's at home all the time, that Videl would do that because she's still like she's still going to be the feisty little fighter mom. You can tell. So I think it would make sense. And obviously, a celebrity mommy wouldn't do something like that. So
Yeah.
so I think yeah, I think that is the pan that we as the pan as we know wouldn't exist.
I think there's still a chance that Gohan and Videl could have met, and it would have just changed. Instead of them meeting through school, it would have been through a world tournament, because the world would have known that Gohan's this extremely strong kid, and he would. Well, it kind of does a time skip after the Cell Saga to where it's like a late teenager, I guess, going to school and everything. So
7 years, I think.
yeah, something like that. So let's say within those years after the Cell Saga to the beginning of where he's a teenager, um, he lives his life as this celebrity kid. He's rich and famous, and he doesn't go to school, but he's still in the limelight constantly. Maybe he's making films. I mean, Mr. Satan made a film of defeating Cell. Maybe Gohan actually stars in a film, and maybe he's a film star now, doing action hero films. Maybe he is the Saiyaman character, but as a film star, and he has his whole film series as the Saiyaman. Who knows? But yeah, I can see him maybe becoming a bit cocky potentially because he's got all of this wealth and fortune and fame. And since the world knows he's uber strong, he enters into the world tournament. And because Mr. Satan is a former world champion, maybe he claims the win and then he gets ridiculed and shunned and he loses all of his fame and fortune. Or maybe, people just forget about him and move on because there's this new kid on the block who's uber powerful and Mr. Satan, no one really cares about him anymore. Either way, Videl is still born and she's still around as a person anyway. And she doesn't like the fact that, her family's lost all of this fame and fortune that they had. And she wants to prove that her family is still strong. So she trains because Mr. Satan is a world class fighter. Just nowhere near on the level of the Dragon Team, of course. But as far as humans go, he's pretty strong. And she trains and she also enters the world tournament. And then that's how them two meet. And potentially things could go from there. Gohan meeting a female who can actually fight. Maybe he takes interest, and then the story can kind of pick up from there instead of them meeting in school. Who knows?
Potentially.
Yeah,
I mean, they would still definitely have to be there. I mean, because there would still be the whole Spopovich issue and everything like that, because it would still be that world tournament
yeah.
that they would still attend.
Mhm.
And I mean, he could still get involved as part of that because the Gohan we know would still not be okay with that incident.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
If anyone's going to want to get involved in that situation, it's going to be Gohan,
Mhm.
even post fight.
Yeah.
He wants to help.
Plus, they still have them links because Gohan knows who Mr. Satan is because he was around during the Cell saga and everything. And, if Vidal comes along and says, I'm the daughter of Mr. Satan, of course he's going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. And, yeah, instant bond. Vidal might, after all of these years, if it was 7 years or whatever, being like maybe envious of Gohan, being like, I can't believe he's kind of stole the spotlight away. Or maybe it was a good thing and she thanks him because maybe she was sick and tired of her dad being all cocky and arrogant all the time on TV, trying to seem like he's the best. So maybe she's thankful that Gohan kind of took the spotlight away by actually just being strong and saving the world.
It's true.
But
Um,
yeah.
yeah, because my original thought is she could resent him for it, but yeah, she might actually be very thankful to him for it.
Hmm. Maybe it calms Mr. Satan down completely now that the spotlight isn't on him. Like he does, maybe he just goes back to training normally and trying to become a world champion martial artist, like full time, constantly try and prove his strength. And he loses that cocky arrogance that he has. Eventually, or maybe he just becomes a dad of Adele, and he wants to train her, and he's like, since he's no longer the spotlight, like in the spotlight, he just focuses on being a good dad instead.
I think I think what would interest me is would we lose scholarly Gohan?
I think we would. I think there's no escaping that. I don't think he could go to a school like normal as a celebrity, or if he does, he wouldn't have the same experience.
And he couldn't exactly hide because the world would chase him.
Exactly.
It would be what would he want? Like he may not want to have to fight, but would the world force him to constantly be in fights and tournaments and stuff like that? And
Potentially, maybe that's why he signs up for the world tournament because he's pressured
yeah,
into it to prove his strength again.
Chi Chi might make him go into tournaments and everything to pay for that, pay for life, basically.
Yeah.
Because Goku's not about.
Hmm.
The thing is, like his love for pacifism and everything like that is one thing, but
Hmm.
Chi Chi does love money.
He does. Yeah.
But yet he's not going to have a normal life. The
Hmm.
world is going to chase him.
Exactly. I can already picture it as like a Spider-Man like type of situation where he's
Yeah,
trying to go back to
and
school after everyone knows it's Spider-Man. That type of thing.
I think we would have a totally different character. I think it would completely change his character, and he would become this horrible cocky character, and we would end up hating him.
Yeah. Or
I think we
maybe.
would. I think we would hate him, and I think the thing is, everybody says that they don't like schoolboy Gohan, but I
Hmm.
think if everybody did have this like character that like properly embraced his fighting and everything, and had like hockey, I think everyone would genuinely dislike the character.
Yeah, I mean, it could go another way as well, where he hates the spotlight and he hates the fact that he's constantly shoved in front of cameras and made to do all these things for money. And he becomes a bit of a recluse and he just stays at home. He doesn't want to go out, he doesn't want to do anything until he's forced to by the media and everything chasing him all the time. And yeah,
And then I think he would just be a whiny, but then I think people would view him as a whiny character as well.
potentially. But then
So
maybe that's where Vidal could come in again if he does get forced into entering the tournament and he hates all the spotlight and everything. Seeing another child celebrity, even if she was just briefly with Mr. Satan, and she also hates the spotlight and stuff, and that's why she hated her dad, being all cocky and arrogant. Maybe that's how those two could bond in that way.
that would be quite interesting.
Yeah,
And then he kind of comes out of it and comes out with shell a bit.
yeah. And
I
then those
suppose,
two, since he can fly, he just takes her away to train her and like be alone away from the spotlight and stuff, and they can bond. Yeah, I
yeah,
think that could work.
I think it would be. It also would have been nice if he'd also kept fighting. It would have meant that he would have been more involved with the other Z fighters as well.
Hmm.
Because I remember when they got back involved with Boo, Vegeta absolutely laced into him when he got when he basically got Krillin and Piccolo, well, Piccolo killed,
Hmm.
um, through the Boo getting spat on because he let himself down. He hadn't been training, he hadn't been fighting and everything like that.
Hmm.
He wanted to take on Dabura and he just did badly.
Yeah.
Um, and whereas if he had been kept in the spotlight, he had to keep fighting, he wouldn't be in that situation anymore.
To be honest, I think even if he was in the spotlight and told to fight, these are like muscles for sure at this point because there's not going to be
Yeah.
any enemies that are near his power level at all. So it'll be sparring sessions at the very best. I don't think he would have got much stronger, if at all stronger, over these few years because there was no real threat like Cell until Boo comes around and there's new enemies to deal with.
I think
Um,
I think
um,
if I think Gohan's quite smart. I think if he had to do some form of training, he would have done it in a way that he would have wanted to do it. So he would have done it with like Piccolo,
mm,
maybe.
yeah.
So he would have kind of done it as a throwback
Mm,
because he enjoyed doing training with Piccolo and things like that.
mm,
So I think he would have maybe done it if he did have to train, if he had to do some home fighting, but done it with Piccolo or somebody like that, and then he kind
yeah.
of gets the balance. So he found peace with Piccolo,
Mm,
um, and then at least he has something. Um, and I suppose he could have, because I suppose when he started training again, when he went to train just before he started training Videl, the first thing he did is he took Goten and he started dodging all the rocks and everything with Goten,
mm,
and that's when he found out that Goten can turn Super Saiyan.
yeah.
Like he didn't need Goten to train or anything like that. He didn't really need he didn't need to train really to train
Mm,
Vidal, but he did.
yeah.
He literally could have done anything. He could have just go punch rocks or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I I think he would have done something. I don't think he would just stand there and flex his muscles. I think he would have done something that's more linked to the people he knows.
Mm,
So I think he would have involved the people that he knows and loves. So I think he would have involved somebody like Piccolo.
yeah.
I think he would have made it practical rather than wasting his time.
Yeah, I think at that point though, it kind of drags the other characters into fame as well. If he's being chased down constantly, all of his friends and his relatives would also have some of that fame with them. Um, so all of the team would pretty much be known at that point, I guess. I guess the world is already aware of Bulma and the Capsule Corporation being this massive company, billionaires, or even more than that. So Gohan being friends with them, it wouldn't really change them at all, since Bulma doesn't really get hounded down by any fame of being this uber smart businesswoman, I guess. But yeah,
Krillin would be all over it. Like,
oh yeah, 100%, 100%. You would have loved it. Master Roshi would have also loved it.
Yeah, I
But
think I think on a more practical story scale, though, it would be interesting to see what Babidi would do about it because Babidi would immediately know who Gohan was
yeah, they would have
because
targeted him straight away.
yeah, because at the World Tournament they were looking for Gohan. They were looking for the powerful fighter that defeated Cell.
Hmm.
And the Kais went and they needed to power up Gohan, so they made him power up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have needed to do that because they would have already known who Gohan was at the tournament. But they would have been able to do that well before the tournament. So
Mm.
all of this would have kicked off so much sooner.
Hmm.
So I mean, the whole Boo ish thing could have happened well before Goku even appeared.
Yeah.
So to be honest, like the thing you have to think is, could Boo have destroyed everything before Goku have even had it? Because it was happenstance that Goku was back
Hmm.
when Boo reappeared.
Yeah.
Really,
Because also potentially Mr. Satan wouldn't have tried to befriend Boo or kill him,
yeah,
I guess, with the exploding chocolates, because why would he? He wouldn't be in the spotlight, so why would he care about this evil monster when he knows that Gohan is worldwide famous for being this strongest person around? So you just leave it to him.
yeah. Then again, he could try and get back to his point of fame by trying to save everybody.
That's true. He could.
Yeah.
He could.
Um, but I suppose that is there is actually a positive to this. Is if Gohan can stop Yabba and Spopovich by getting the energy off them, if Goku's not here,
Mm.
Vegeta has no reason to turn Margin Vegeta,
Hmm.
and therefore there is no catalyst to release Margin Buu.
Yeah.
Therefore, Margin Buu doesn't get released.
Hmm.
So
And
there is not enough power.
yeah, the rest of the guys with Gohan and Vegeta could have probably taken out Dabura and Babidi by themselves anyway. So yeah, the whole Majin Buu arc just wouldn't happen pretty
Yeah.
much.
To be honest, the Margin Buu arc, when you think about it, I would argue happened for two reasons, in my opinion. I
Right.
mean, I may be forgetting something here, but off the top of my head, if I remember rightly, one because the Kaiser were dumb and they, for some reason, gave Yabim
The
Svatovich.
power, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I still can't figure out why they thought that was a good idea,
No.
but they did. Like, just don't give them the power. Let
Yeah.
them be suspicious and just not give them it.
Mhm.
Right, fine. Um, and two, Mars and Vegeta. Yeah, the
Yeah.
fight between Goku and Mars and Vegeta. So if that fight doesn't happen, but you need both of those things to happen. So let's say, okay, the Spapovich one happens, they get Gohan's power, but the Mars and Vegeta one doesn't happen.
Mhm.
Therefore, bang. Because Future Trunks even said in his that he killed Boo, right? Is that right? In Super?
I can't remember. I'm
In
honestly
Super,
not sure.
yeah. His in Super he killed Boo. He
Hmm.
dealt with Boo himself.
Right.
Sure, I'm sure he did.
I honestly can't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure he dealt with Boo himself. But anyway, yeah. There would be no margin of Vegeta because Goku would never have came back.
Mhm.
Um, because they would have attacked Gohan early. They
Yeah.
wouldn't have waited to the tournament. So Goku would have been able to come back for the tournament later on,
Mhm.
but Babidi would have already made of his attempt by then and will have already failed and died.
Yeah.
So Goku could have safely came back.
Mhm.
It would have already been dealt with. Everybody would have been happy. So it would have been a good thing. So kind of Mr. Satan screwed everybody.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
You could
Because
argue Mr. Satan threatened the world by lying.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Because Gohan more than likely would have kept up his training in some way, shape, or form if the cameras were in his face constantly. So he would have been in fighting shape the whole time. He'd have been able to fend off anyone coming at him if needed. And yeah, there's still potential that Gohan and Vidal could have met one way or the other, and the things after the Buu saga, like all of Super, that could have still happened as normal. The only difference being that Gohan and Vidal are insanely rich, or even richer than they are with Mr. Satan's money, I guess. So not much really changes, to be honest, going
Yeah.
forward, apart from the Buu arc.
Yeah. I think literally the biggest that is actually thinking about it, that's weird that basically Mr. Satan kind of screwed everybody with the Bullock.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And
He
I
kind of,
guess the only thing that does change in Super is when they're looking for another team member for the tournament power, Boo wouldn't have been an option. Um,
but
so
he wasn't technically anyway.
yeah, he didn't end up being. But
Yeah.
if they already knew he wasn't even an option to begin with, would they have recruited Yamcha? Probably. Because they wouldn't have been thinking instantly, like, we need to get Frieza, we need to bring him back last minute. They would have said, well, Yamcha's a fighter, and we need a fighter anyway, so yeah.
Would they though?
They wouldn't. Well,
Would Goku maybe not have just thought we haven't got strong enough people? I might just have to go with it.
potentially, but also Yamcha is there, and he did want to be part of the team. And if they knew they needed a fighter, like,
Honestly, Frieza was Goku's one big brain moment.
yeah,
Like that is his true big brain moment.
mm,
That is his 20, 30 years, whatever of collective brain cells
mm.
for that one moment. That's he's just been waiting all these years. He's never done anything all up until now.
I guess potentially another thing, we probably wouldn't have seen Super Saiyan 3 as a form.
That would have
Um,
been a positive though.
it probably would have been, yeah. But then Gotenks wouldn't have also turned Super Saiyan 3.
Wouldn't have needed it.
Yeah. Would Gotenks even have been a thing? Because they only learned it because of the threat of Boo. So Gotenks might not even exist.
Mm.
They wouldn't have tried it because they would have had no reason to.
Has Gore-Tex ever been necessary other than delaying Boo?
No,
Canonically.
no.
I know it's been used in non-canon stuff, but I
Like the
don't think
films,
it's
yeah.
ever had a true canon purpose.
No, it was just for Boo. But apart from that, it doesn't really show up at
Might have
any
been
other point.
filler, might have been filler stuff, but
Mm, can't
nothing that
remember.
would end or save the world. No.
Yeah. But
So
anyway, uh,
yeah, so
yeah.
yeah, Mr. Satan doing the world. I think we should have known from the get go. Damn you, Mr. Satan.
Damn
We
you,
should
Mr.
have known the
Satan, indeed.
truth. The
Yeah.
truth should have came out.
So Mr. Satan kind of screwed the world over, but apart from that, that's how it is. I think most things would have ended pretty similarly either way. Gohan and Vidal could have still met up. So yeah, I think we've talked about this long enough.
Yeah,
So let's move on now to the Hall of Fame.
cool.